Ancient China is one of the longest continuous civilizations in human history, spanning over 2,000 years from its start around 1600 BCE to its end. With the fall of the Qing Dynasty in 1911 CE, there's a lot to cover here. So let's do it in 10 minutes. Let's do history. Xia Dynasty, 207-01600 BCE. Our story begins in the lower Yellow River Valley with the Xia Dynasty. The Xia are traditionally credited as the first dynasty of China, although many historians debate this due to a lack of evidence. Legend says that after the last ruler of the Xia Dynasty died, his grandson Chen Tang became emperor of the Xia Dynasty and ruled from his capital at Yangcheng. A few rulers after him, Ji of Xia, supposedly built the city of Enye, which would be the first true capital of China. The end of the dynasty was marked by a great flood that may or may not have happened, but is important because it sets up the next dynasty. According to tradition, the Great Flood enabled Yu, the Great, the chieftain of the neighboring state of Ya, to conquer the weakened Xia and establish the Shang Dynasty in 1600 BCE. Shang Dynasty, 1600 to 1046 BCU, the Great, it's also known as the Yellow Emperor, is considered the founding father of the Shang Dynasty. He established his capital at Bo and, like the Roman Empire before him, grew the empire through a series of military conquests. During the Shang, the Chinese people began to write using oracle bones and kept records of their history, which has allowed us to learn more about their culture than other contemporary societies. We know that they developed an advanced system of bronze work, created exquisite works of art, and were skilled traders along the Yellow River. The Shang were eventually conquered by King Wu of the Zhou Dynasty in 1046 BCE. This event marked the end of the second millennium BCE and the beginning of a new era in Chinese history. Western Zhou 1046 to 771 BCE. After conquering the Shang Disang, King Wu moved his capital to the city of Heijing, which became known as Shan, and established the Western Zhou Dynasty. He divided the kingdom into a central area ruled directly by the king and a series of vassal states ruled by members of the royal family and nobility. This system of government is called feudalism, and it would be the foundation of the Chinese state for centuries to come. Wu's son King Cheng is remembered for having summoned the famous philosopher Lao Tzu to help organize his government. Lao Tzu is credited with writing the Tao Te Ching and founding the philosophical school of Daoism. As the Zhou kings grew weaker, the power of the feudal lords grew stronger, and eventually some of them rebelled against the Zhou and established their own dynasties. This period is called the Spring and Autumn and lasted from 770 to 446 BC. It gets its name from a record kept by the state of Lu detailing the events of each year during this time period. The Spring and Autumn Annals were a sort of Chinese Bible and had a huge impact on the development of Confucianism. The Warring States period 475-221 BCE, with the Zhou kings reduced to a figurehead and civil war tearing the country apart. The stage was set for a new dynasty. In the north, the state of Qin, founded by King Yingzeng, would eventually conquer all other states and unite China for the first time in 221 BCE, but he wasn't the only powerful ruler during this time. Other notable rulers include King Huang of Zhao, who reformed his state's government and military to become the most powerful in northern China. King Wei Wenhao of Wei, who sponsored the legalist philosopher Huang and adopted his policies of harsh punishments and rewards to increase agricultural production and build a strong military. And King Gujian of Yu, who sought revenge against the state of Wu for destroying his homeland and enslaving his family. Each of these rulers exemplified the philosophies of Confucianism, Daoism, and Legalism, which dominated political thought during this time. These three philosophies would influence Chinese culture and government for centuries. Confucianism, with its focus on ethics, social harmony, and good governance, was championed by rulers such as King Wen of Zhou and King Zhuan of Qi. Daoism, on the other hand, with its emphasis on living in harmony with the natural order of the universe, found favor with philosophers like Laozi and Zhuangzi, who taught rulers such as King Huang of Zhou. Finally, legalism, with its focus on law, order, and punishment, was embraced by rulers like King Huang of Zhao and King Wuling of Zhao. This synthesis of philosophy and politics led to profound changes in Chinese society, including a flourishing of art and literature, as well as significant advances in science, technology, and agriculture. Qin Dynasty, 221 to 206 BCE, as mentioned earlier. The state of Qin, under the rule of King Yingzheng, conquered the other 6 kingdoms and unified China in 221 BCE. He took the title of the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang. His reforms included standardizing weights and measures, creating a uniform currency, establishing a centralized bureaucracy, and building a strong military. He also initiated the construction of the Great Wall of China to protect the empire from nomadic Xiongnu tribes. While his accomplishments were significant, he was also autocratic and oppressive, which ultimately contributed to the downfall of the dynasty. Han Dynasty 206 BCE to 220 CE. Following the collapse of the Qin Dynasty, the Han Dynasty was established by Liu Bang, who took the title of Emperor Gaozu. The Han further expanded China's borders, developed a sophisticated legal system, and made advancements in science, technology, and art. The Silk Road also began during this dynasty, connecting China to the West. The Han Dynasty is often considered a golden age in Chinese history. However, towards the end of the dynasty, power struggles and corruption weakened the empire, leading to the fall of the Western Han in 206 BC. The following Wang Mang usurped the throne and established the Qin Dynasty, which lasted only 23 years and was overthrown by Liu Zhu, who then established the Eastern Han Dynasty in 25 CE. The Eastern Han Dynasty saw the spread of Buddhism and the emergence of influential schools of thought, including Confucianism and Daoism. However, it also faced numerous challenges, such as the Yellow Turban Rebellion and the rise of regional warlords. Eventually, the dynasty collapsed in 220 CE, marking the end of the imperial era in China and ushering in the Three Kingdoms period. Three Kingdoms 2202-80 CE. The fall of the Han Dynasty led to a three-way split of the empire among the kingdoms of Wei, Shu, and Wu. This period of political fragmentation was marked by warfare and instability, until finally the state of Jin emerged victorious in 280 CE Jin. Southern and Northern dynasties to 655-89 CE, after the unification of China by the Jin Dynasty. The country entered a period of division between the northern and southern regions. This era witnessed the rise of powerful aristocratic clans and the continued influence of Buddhism, as well as the flourishing of art and literature. The northern dynasties included the Jin, the 16 kingdoms, the later Qin, the Western Wei, and the Northern Wei, while the southern dynasties consisted of the Song, the Liang, the Chen, and the Western Jin. Sui Dynasty, 5816-18 CE. The Sui Dynasty reunified China under Yang Jian, who established the Sui capital at Daxing near modern-day Beijing. The Sui undertook massive infrastructure projects, including the construction of the Grand Canal, which connected the north and south of the country. These achievements, along with the introduction of a new currency and administrative reforms, laid the foundation for the prosperous Tang Dynasty. Tang Dynasty 618-907 CE. The Tang Dynasty, with its capital at Chang'an, was a golden age in Chinese history. It saw the flourishing of poetry, painting, and literature, as well as significant economic growth and cultural exchange along the Silk Roads. Rulers like Taizong and Rizong implemented policies that promoted trade, encouraged immigration, and supported the arts. The Temps also expanded China's borders to their greatest extent up to that point. 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms, 907 to 960 CE, following the decline of the Tang Dynasty. China once again fell into a period of political fragmentation with 5 imperial dynasties, ruling in the north and 10 kingdoms in the south. This era was marked by instability and warfare until the Song Dynasty emerged to unify the country. Song Dynasty 960 to 1279 CE, the Song Dynasty, with its capital at Kaifeng and later Hangzhou, is known for its advancements in technology, science, and art. It was during the Song Dynasty that gunpowder, the compass, and movable type printing were invented, significantly impacting world history. The economy flourished through agricultural innovation and the growth of international trade. However, The Song were eventually conquered by the nomadic Kurd Mongols under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his grandson Kublai Khan. Yuan Dynasty, 1271 to 1368 CE. After the Song dynasty fell to the Mongols, China became part of the vast Mongol Ladwan dynasty. Kublai Khan's grandson Togun Timur completed the conquest of China and established the Yuan dynasty with its capital at Dadu, now Beijing. Despite the introduction of new technologies and the flourishing of trade, the Yuan dynasty faced opposition from various Chinese states, including the Ming Dynasty 1368 to 1644 CE. The Ming Dynasty was established by Huang Emperor, who moved the capital to Nanjing and later to Beijing. It was during the Ming Dynasty that the Forbidden City was constructed, and the Great Wall of China was extensively renovated. The voyages of Zheng He, an admiral in the Chinese Navy, brought riches and knowledge from all across Asia. Towards the end of the dynasty, internal conflicts and economic decline weakened the empire, paving the way for the Manchu-led Qing Dynasty. Qing Dynasty, 1644 to 1911 CE. The Qing Dynasty, established by the Manchus, marked the last imperial dynasty in Chinese history. They expanded China's borders to their greatest territorial extent and implemented policies that integrated the newly conquered regions into the empire. The Qing also faced challenges such as the Opium Wars and the Boxer Rebellion, which resulted in increased foreign influence in China. Eventually, the dynasty collapsed in 1911, bringing an end to imperial rule in China and marking a new chapter in Chinese history. And that's the history of ancient China in 10 minutes. Thanks for watching.